Hello and welcome to another Scottish mountain walking guide. In today's video I'm returning to the Cairngorms National Park to climb Mullach Clach and Sgòr Gaoith. This will be the first time that I've climbed these mountains. The start of today's walk is from the southernmost car park in Glen Feshie at the end of the public road. Parking is free but donations are welcome and there are no height restrictions. It's around 2 hours and 40 minutes drive both from Edinburgh or Glasgow. The car park will fit around 20 cars. And the closest public toilet is in Cairngorms, about 25 minutes away from the car park. As always, links to the OS map for the route, the starting point car park and the Scottish Mountain Weather website are included in the description below. The total distance for today's walk is 25.5 kilometres with 1045 metres of ascent. It is expected to take around 8 hours and 6 minutes to walk. This is a relatively easy walk with no rocky or exposed sections, with the exception of the actual summit where you don't need to go right to the eastern edge, but if you do, there is quite a steep drop, as you can see from the video just now. The majority of the path is good and easy to follow. As always, navigation will be more difficult in cloud and especially if there is fresh snow. Starting at the car park, you head south, continuing down the road that you used to drive to the car park. You will then come to a gate. The gate is actually on your left hand side. There are signposts directing the public to use the road on the left. So you go through the gate and then follow the road and it goes round. The road itself comes to an end just a little bit further down here. But before that you'll see a large rock with writing on it, and that rock directs you to, at this point, go to the right and follow the path that goes around the Ascent house. Follow that path continuing south, go around the edge of the woods here. Right at this point, this stream here can be quite difficult to cross depending on how much local rain there has been. But once you make your way across the stream, you walk along the edge of the woods and follow the path. Continue to head south. You want to be careful at this point where the path goes off to southwest. You want to take the path to your left and head in the southeasterly direction. You'll see this bridge over here, so you do not want to cross that bridge, you just want to take the path to the left. Continue to follow the path. It will join back up to that path. Continue to follow the path. And then here, the main path goes straight on, and there's a very narrow and it's fairly muddy. This used to be the main path, and then the bridge here got washed away. So this is the alternative path. This is the only bit you really need to watch out for, otherwise you'll have to then walk back up here to join back on. There is a crossing here made up of 3 logs of wood. A very simple crossing, easier to cross when you've got walking poles. Cross the river, follow the river a little bit to the west and then you go into the woods. But the path is fairly obvious. You cross over this forestry track, and then you join up to this forestry track and follow that and continue to head in a southerly direction. Now at this point it would actually be easier to continue to follow that main path and head to your left and follow the path round this way. On the map I was using, which is a more detailed OS map, it didn't show that path. I'll show you. On the detailed OS map, that road doesn't exist, and I was following the detailed map, so I followed that road round there. This part here has been washed away, this part of the river, and so the path goes up a fairly steep bank through the woods. I actually followed it round the edge, which you can do, but then there was a fallen down tree that I had to sort of climb over. So that was the only bit of climbing I had to do, and it was just because the tree's fallen over. If you went up through the woods, you would have not needed to climb over it. You'll see that in the video. Follow the path round the side of the riverbank and continue to follow the path along here. This is a very obvious crossroads between the track that goes up the mountain and the one that goes straight ahead. If you were to use the Walk Highlands route description, they describe climbing Mullach Clach on its own as a solitary Munro, and they actually describe it going round this way, coming up somewhere around here and then coming back down this path. The total distance for that route is 21.5 kilometres, and with this route being 25.5 kilometres, it's an extra 4 kilometres, but it saves me having to go and do 2 separate walks. So I chose to go up what would be the descent route according to Walk Highlands, because it was a more direct ascent to the summit. So you follow the path. It gets a little bit steeper here, but it's nothing too difficult, and you can actually drive a 4x4 up here. This is a wide off-road track. As it climbs up higher, there's a steep craggy bit on the other side, and in the video I just walked up to the edge just to get the views from here, and then continued back on the path. And again it gets quite narrow. You don't see this because you're below the ridge line and where the road is, so you're not exposed, but you can walk up and have a look over. Continue to follow that road. You'll see here, this is actually the wider track. Here is a gravel 4x4 road, so it's quite broad, and this is just a path. So you just want to keep to the 4x4 track, and again keep going straight ahead at this fork here and go round the bend. It takes a sharp 90-degree turn heading from what was southeast to southwest, and then it gradually curves round. When you get to this point you will see the track going up to the summit. It's a very flat plateau, this whole area, so it's not the most obvious high point. I mean, you can see that it is slightly higher, but it's not like a big mountain point. Follow that round. You can virtually drive to the top of this Munro, and it's very unusual to see roads at this sort of altitude. Once you make it up to the summit, you don't get great views from the summit because of it being so flat. You then retrace your steps. On the way back down, it was easy to see there's a track here. This one's the road and this one's a track. It wasn't so easy to see it from over here, but on the way back down, because you were higher up, you could easily see the track. So I followed the track back down, heading in a northerly direction, and then it curves round slightly to the east. So from here you follow this path, heading in a northerly direction slightly to the east, going round the edge of this sharp drop. Again, you're not close enough to it to feel exposed to it. There's a slight descent here down as you go over this little stream, and then a slight climb back up, but it's nothing significant. At this point the path got a little bit faint. It seems a few people went round a little bit below where the path is marked, and it faded out. I did the same thing. I was following the trail and it faded out, and then I just had to turn to the right, go a little bit higher up, and then I joined back onto what was a more clear, well-defined path. Right here it gets a little bit boggy. It looks quite bad, but it's actually not too bad to cross. There was plenty of rocks that you could step on, and it wasn't very swampy. Follow the path in a sort of northwesterly direction, and then it curves round to head just basically north. Keep following that track, flattens off here, and then this section, I'll show it in the satellite. That's this section right here. That is very boggy, and it shows the path going right through the middle of that. And as I got closer, there was no clear path, and it was very swampy and wasn't looking very good. So I did go northwest and cut round it and avoid it, and then join back up to the path. And from there you just keep following that path. It's quite clear. There's a reasonably large cairn here that marks the joining of these two paths. Again, you continue north. There's a little summit shelter here. This is a top, or a small top. It's not the actual summit, but there is a shelter there, so you can see that. And from there you just keep following this path, and the path gets wider and you'll probably see it in the 3D flyover. It's quite a well-defined path. And then you get to the summit of Sgòr Gaoith. There's a very steep drop here, and it's a very pointy little summit, this bit, so I chose to do it before it would be covered in snow. If you are going up in the snow, you just need to be aware of that and be very careful if you're close to the edge. From there, I retraced my steps back to the stone shelter that was on the top here, and then there's a faint path that goes slightly more to the west. You could go straight back to that cairn that I mentioned here, and then follow this path pretty much directly west. From here, the path goes straight back to the car park. As long as you just follow the path, go straight ahead. There are no junctions. There's that one gate to go back through at the beginning, and it goes all the way straight back down. It's a very easy descent, and you just follow the path back down. You join back up to that boulder where you turned off earlier, back through the gate, and then back to the car park. Good morning. Just 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm at the Glen Feshie car park. It's at the southernmost end of the public road going down Glen Feshie. As you can see over there, where those walkers are, there are signs saying no parking beyond this point, so this is the end of the public road. Car park. Probably can take about 20 or so cars. Very nice spot here. Quite a long walk today, assuming I do both Munros. You can see the tops are in cloud at the moment. That should clear up and get a bit brighter by about lunchtime, and then get more overcast later on in the day. So from the car park, you keep following the road, heading almost directly south. When you come to this junction, you'll see that there's a couple of signs pointing us in the right direction. This is just going to take us around Auchinleck, little house down there. Then when you see this rock with the arrow on it, we want to head to Upper Glen Feshie. So we're going down this path here. Immediately after coming through that gate, you need to cross this stream. There's no bridge, just need to find the shallowest part. If there's been a lot of rain, it could be impassable. Looks like today it'll be okay. Let's head down this way a wee bit. Whoa! Get a little bit deeper. I'm going to put the camera away. Need to cross onto there and then go straight over there. After crossing the river, we want to walk along the edge of the woods here. So the path goes along. So right here, keeping the woodland to our left, and just follow this path for a while. When you come to this fork in the path, keep going straight on. Ignore the turn to the right. It's a really lovely part of the country for a walk, even without having to gain any altitude. And this is the other side. One of the tops is way up there in the cloud, and the other top is up there but quite a bit further back. Some cloud on the tops at the moment. That's meant to clear up. Keep an eye out for this little sign and where the path leaves the main path. In the past you would have went straight on and crossed the river ahead with a bridge. That bridge unfortunately has washed away. So we're going to go to the left and cross a little bit further upstream. At the new crossing point for this river, makeshift wooden log cross. A bit slippy, but then we keep going that way. The more adventurous crossing. On the other side, follow this track back down, and then we go through the woods, turning to our left. You can see the path. The main path goes to the left. There's a little bit going on there, but we're going left. You don't get to walk through many forests like this. Certainly not in the Munro walks. You can see the path goes straight on here. It crosses a forestry track, but we're going to go straight on, and when we come to the next forest track we're going to go left. And almost immediately we've come to that second forestry track, and you can see the path naturally goes to the left. Join back up to the main path that you would have taken in the past if you went over the bridge. This is such a beautiful woodland. It would be a really nice place to just come and wild camp. It's not too far from the car park. You've got a river down there. That looks like a wooden cutout. As you come to this junction, the main road that we've been following goes to the left. You really need to keep to the right. It takes you down and walk alongside the river for a little bit. The path looks like it splits here. One goes right along the bank of the river, another one goes up the trees. On the map it just shows going along the side of the river. The detail's not fine enough to know which is actually the correct route. So I'm going to try and just go along the side of the bank, and we'll see if that joins up to the path. It does go along the river there. So going round the bank does join back up with the path that went up through the woods. A little bit of actual scrambling required to do it that way. Might be easier just to climb up and down through the woods. When you come to this junction where the two roads cross, I'm going to go left. If you only wanted to do Mullach Clach, then you could go straight ahead, go round the back of the mountainside there, up the back, get to the top, and then come back down that bit in frame there and right down this road and go back out. Do it as a circuit. As I'm sure I've explained in the route description, that's 21.5 kilometres to do it that way. If you go up here to the left, straight up to the summit, and then go along the ridge there to Sgòr Gaoith, then the total distance is 24.5 kilometres. So for an extra 3 kilometres you can do both Munros. So I'm going left. It's a fairly steep gravel road up the hillside there as you leave the woodland. It gets a little bit easier to walk along now, makes its way along just underneath the ridgeline there, and then we head up to the right. It's a big plateau of a summit, so I'm not expecting to get very good panoramic videos, unfortunately. So far there's been hardly any wind, not even a breeze. It's totally calm. You can see the sun just trying to come through the cloud up there. Should poke out in a couple of hours time, maybe a little bit earlier. I'm at 650 metres. You can see the track here goes round just under the ridge there. Summit is at 1019 metres. up in that direction. Not too far now. The mountain is quite narrow at this point. You can see down the other side there. I'm going up that gravel road you can see. And the summit is just over there in the distance. Currently just under 900 meters in altitude. After reaching the first summit, I'm going to be walking around this ridge you see here, around this rim, across over there on the other side, and all the way over that way. It is very unusual to have roads right at the summits of mountains. Only really in the Cairngorms and around Glen Feshie do you find this sort of man-made roads. At this junction here, we go round to the right. You can actually see there's 3 walkers over there in the distance that have probably just come from the summit. Just go straight on. You can see straight ahead the gravel track goes off to the left and there's a muddy path going up to the right. We're just heading, as always, for the highest point, directly ahead there. Just reached the summit of Mullach Clach, and just in time. There's a cloud bank coming in from the south. See it just crossing, it's going to eclipse me. So I'm going to head north from here, and it's actually through the cloud there and onto that, well actually more this way, through the cloud and along the ridge. I hope this blows over. There's not going to be much to see if it doesn't. From the summit, head directly north, retracing our steps to that junction in the gravel road. You don't need to follow the road here. You could just go straight across and cut the corner. But it's typically easier to navigate if you're following a path. Two hours and 40 minutes to the first top. You can see there is a path that people have walked cutting the corner of that gravel road that I came up on. We just want to head straight ahead, just there on the edge of the cloud. Back down at the gravel road. This time, as it's so clear and obvious where to walk, I'm just going to cut the corner following the path here. You can see where those walkers are coming. That was a gravel path that came up, and you can just make out behind them a line, which is the other gravel road where I showed the fork. We want to join up with that road, and it's directly straight ahead, so you can keep following this path here. You have a choice ahead. You can follow that gravel road that goes round to the right, and then it goes back along to the left, or you can cut straight across and go round to the right of that really pointy bit, and I can see the path going across the moor there, so I'm going to go straight across, which is the route I've plotted on the OS maps. So now I'm leaving that little path I was on, cutting across to the path you can see on the hillside there. It does have a little bit of a down and up. As you can see, there's a dark crag. You got to go down and up that up, and then across the other side. Then it'll be a bit more down and up, but it's basically straight ahead from here. Now up close on this path, you can see it's very well worn. Clearly a lot of people have the same idea as me. Don't want to do the two Munros as separate walks and just combine them both together. I'm quite sure you could definitely get the better views coming along this path. The gravel road would be too far away from the edge here. Just going to continue around the top here. Just looking back, the path I was on got very faint and then totally disappeared, so I had to climb up the hillside a little bit to my right as I was walking, and then saw another path. So it is quite easy to lose the path. Right, keep following it again. The path goes down and then crosses the stream down there, and then up the other side, and we're actually going to head up towards where those people are. I can just make out two people. There they are. Head up towards them, and then it's across. It looks quite bad, a spot to cross the stream, all the moss and algae, but there are quite a number of rocks that you can just step on and make your way across, so it's okay. Just try and follow the path up here a bit and make my way around to the right. There's a little under 4 kilometres from here to Sgòr Gaoith, and that top there is about halfway, and the return route we have to actually come back to that top and then go down to the left. So still continuing this direction. From here it's pretty much a straight line to the top, heading slightly east of north. So north is probably about that direction, and we're heading just slightly to the east of north. Just as you get closer to the top here, there's a really bad swampy section, and so I had to make pretty much a right turn to the left to avoid the worst of it. And now I'm turning back to the right and going to head on up. Starting to get a bit cloudy. Probably about 3 kilometres to the top. There's a little top ahead of us and then it goes down and back up to the actual Sgòr Gaoith. So we'll just keep heading slightly east of north. Where those 2 walkers are, that's our descent route for today. So that joins up directly ahead. You can probably see where it crosses this path I'm on. From here we go straight on 2.5, 3 kilometres, get to the summit, retrace my steps back to this junction and then go down the hill there. It's getting quite busy up here. Summit is straight ahead, you can just make it out in the cloud. It's about 70 metres above us, but there is a bit of a descent between here and there. It's a little bit down, then up. It's just coming out of the cloud. Quite a popular spot this, quite a few people out, getting close. Unfortunately the cloud is just starting to descend upon us. Still about 700 metres to the summit. Weather report had a 90% chance of a clear top. We'll see what it's like when we get there. Just approaching the summit of Sgòr Gaoith. The actual summit is on the right hand side, the pointy bit up there. It's hard to make out with the cloud, and there is a significant drop over to the right, quite a big cliff. One of the reasons I'd rather do this one when it's not got snow in it, that could easily cornice over. It'd be quite difficult to find the actual top. I'm not quite at the summit. Just wanted to get a view down the east face. And there's people on the summit over there. So at the summit of Sgòr Gaoith, this one doesn't even have a cairn. It does have a big drop. Few people here. Let's stop and have something to eat and then see if it clears up at all. It's not looking very promising. Go and sit out of the wind for a wee while. Well, the view's clearing up a little bit. wind's quite cold. It's coming through. Right, so leaving from the top, going to head south, back over that other top, and we get to that crossroads, turn right and then go off down the mountain. Fairly straightforward and easy walk back to the car from here. Wow. Well, I'm glad that cloud cleared up. You can see where those people are. That's where the cairn is, where the path crosses over the path that comes up from the car park. So I'm going to cut the corner a little bit and just make my way down to that path that I can see. Join the path, turn right, and you keep following that and keep to the right. There are 2 or 3 paths going down, but keep to the right hand side one, and that'll take us virtually straight back to the car park from this morning. So I've joined the path that takes us down to the car park, and I found a little path coming off the summit. You can see the descent path. It's the sandy coloured one, which is the higher up on the right hand side. On the map you can see both that one and the lower road. You can see it's a sort of darker brown colour. The lower one goes more to the left when it hits the forest and doesn't go directly back to the car park. The one that's on the right, the sandy coloured one, that goes straight back to the car park. The wind certainly picked up on the way down. Quite a bit of wind chill. That's me back on the path I was on this morning. Earlier this morning I came along this path, not as far as this point, turned off to the left looking back the way, which was my right. But it's the same path with a gate at the end and the signs asking pedestrians to go down this way. A really easy and straightforward descent route that. Got about 1.5 kilometres to go to get back to the car or the van from here. Here's that big boulder. So I came along that bit there this morning and then turned off down there. And then there we have the path back. Just follow it to the gate over there and then follow the road out to the right. Go straight back to the car park in no time. Just approaching the car park. Total walking time is 6.5 hours. Hope you enjoyed the walk. Thank you for watching. And I look forward to showing you some more in the next video. Bye for now.